The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. Hour 3 of tonight's show, and yep, we're still here. So far, nobody here has barfed. I don't think. Well,
nope.
No. You know, maybe a cat has a hairball somewhere. But what the heck? You know, for a while there, I thought that Jose kind of ran off to the washroom, but we found out it was actually just a problem with the internet. Now, isn't that strange? Oh, hell no. The internet has more problems than Carter has pills. But that's another story for another show for another time. If you'd like to check us out on the internet, www.xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our website. I already gave you that, right? Yeah. www.xzoneradiotv.com. Joining me now is a lady that you hear me talk about several times over the 3 hours that you and I share the airspace together. Her name is Amanda Curran. She is a producer here, and she is in Sydney, Nova Scotia. And joining me now via Skype all the way from Sydney is Amanda Curran. Hey, Amanda, how are you doing tonight?
I'm well, thanks. How are you, Rob?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, this was a historic night here on the X-Zone.
Yes.
We've never had a person barf.
I've never heard a person barf.
No?
And he's never barfed on air, so, I mean, first all around.
That is true. I've had a lady who came to our studio, and I thought she was kidding when we called her and made the arrangements. She said she had a psychic goat. Well, she came down to the studio, and guess what she brought with her? A goat. And what she would do is there were 2 bowls of goat food on each side of the goat's face. And she would ask a yes or no question. And based on which food dish that the goat took the munchie from, that was the goat's answer.
I see.
Mm-hmm. So,
did the goat vomit on air?
No. That's
okay.
just it. That's just it. I just found it strange to have a goat in the studio with a lady with 2 dishes that was telling the future. By the way, each one of the goat's predictions were wrong.
Each and every one?
Each and every one. All 10 of them.
Well, you know, I spoke to a psychic. Not that I, call them or
the truth is coming out now. The truth is coming out now. Okay, what did the psychic tell you?
Well, sometimes, you know, if I'm looking for suitable guests, I talk to a few and stuff. And one made a terrifying prediction. Well, to me anyway. I had asked, you know, for something solid that if it happened, we would know that she was for real.
Right.
And she said, whoever asked that question, this answers directly to them. I see babies coming into your future.
Wow.
And I don't even have a boyfriend, so, I mean, that seemed pretty unlikely.
Well, not real. Not really. Maybe you're going to be the next Mary. Maybe you...
You were talking about ghosts getting a little too friendly last night, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Ghosts.
Exactly.
But then I questioned her later, privately off air, and said, come on, you've got to be kidding me.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, one of my cousins is going to get pregnant or something, or maybe, it can't be one of my cats because they're all fixed. But I was hoping maybe I'd get more kittens in my life.
Yeah, but how did your cats get broken?
Wow.
Sorry, I couldn't help that one.
I know.
Your cats were fixed, yeah.
But I've befriended a raccoon. And the first night it was a little skittish. And the second night I would call it. And it was almost like someone's pet. And it was coming closer and closer. Mm-hmm. I went upstairs tonight. And I could see the silhouettes of a big animal. I figured it was the raccoon. And 2 little animals. I figured 2 of my kittens.
Right.
So I was going to let them in and feed the raccoon. But the 2 little animals weren't kittens. And there weren't even 2 of them. It was a big, massive mother raccoon and 4 of her little babies.
Oh, isn't that cute? You and I have to go for a commercial break now, but before we do, I've got an audio clip of Jose Escamilla with us on the last segment. My name's Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. Amanda Curran and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue investigating the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology and everything else in between from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Whatever you do, don't go away. We'll be back after these 2 minutes of breaks. All right, maybe 2.5.
Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
Welcome back, one and all. Amanda Curran is my special guest this hour. She is our producer of the X Zone, and she is in Sydney, Nova Scotia. See, we have a producer in Sydney, Nova Scotia, and I've got Craig over here in our studios. By the way, Amanda, you haven't met Craig yet. He looks like ZZ Top.
Hi, Craig.
He's waving at you.
Okay.
No, she wouldn't be interested in you, Craig. You're dirty.
I'll just let you handle that.
Yeah, you're a dirty old man, Craig. You're married.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you know what he said? He's married, but he's not.
Funny.
Yeah, he said, I'm married, but I'm not dead. You will be if your wife is listening to this show tonight. Oh, my goodness. Hey, Amanda, first of all, I'd like to thank you for the X Zone News that you do. I love it.
Do you? I try. I mean, I want to keep it a little paranormal, but I'm always drawn to the space stuff myself, so I try to keep it Try to keep it even.
Well, you do a great job, and I thank you very much for that. But what is your take on the paranormal?
Well, actually, see, I didn't realize, and you being the host, I should have realized you were going to ask me questions. I actually had some questions for you.
All right.
The first one I was going to say, out of everything you've covered,
yep,
what would have to be like your top 3 favorite paranormal topics to discuss?
Well, first of all, angels. I love angels.
Yeah, I heard you say that last night. I figured. What about angels? Why?
All right, when I was a little kid, I have a younger brother. I'm from Montreal originally. And one night, way back then, let me just prefix this, that when my brother and I were young, baby food came in cans. And what happened was that one of the cans of baby food that my mother bought from a local store gave my brother ptomaine poisoning. Okay, and he was about 2 years old. My mother brought me to my grandmother's house, which was down the street, and my mother and my dad took my younger brother to the hospital. Everybody from the family gathered at my grandmother's house because they were concerned and worried about my younger brother, and nobody thought that he was going to make it through the night. Well, as all these people were in the house and the kitchen, I saw this man standing on the other side of the kitchen, and he had a beautiful smile. And he just made me smile, and I felt so comforted by him being there. And my grandmother looked at me and she said, Bobby, who are you smiling at? What are you looking at? And I said, I'm looking at that man over. And there was nobody there when I looked back. As I said that, the telephone rang. It was my mother from the hospital saying that everything was going to be all right.
Wow.
That's just
Can you describe the man? Like, did he look like a man until he vanished? Is that what tipped you off, or like did he glow, or was he dressed from like 100 years ago, or
I can see I can still see his face. I can still see the shape that I was looking at, but to give you specific details, I can't. But I do know it was a man. He had long hair, a little bit of a beard, and
what color was the hair? Do you remember? Like,
brown.
Was it brown? Was
brown.
It white? Oh.
It was brown. Yeah, it was brown. I'd put him in his mid-30s. So that was one of the examples that I could give about angels, and that to me was all the proof I have ever needed that angels are real. After I realized what that or who that person was later on in life, I became very interested in angels. Next question.
Oh, well, no follow-up. No. Who do you believe it was now?
I really don't know. I really don't know. But I do believe it was an angel. A messenger.
Oh, okay, just an angel.
Yeah.
I thought you...
No, I really don't know. And if I was to give you a name, it wouldn't be based on any fact or any belief I have. It would just be a name that I've heard over the many years doing the show. Michael, Gabriel, Ariel. I don't know who it was, sweetie.
No, well, just something you said. It seemed like I didn't know then who it was, but I know now.
Oh.
But you just meant an angel.
Exactly.
You know for sure it was an angel.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. Now, my second favorite topic to talk about it has to be UFOs. It has to be UFOs. You see, I want to believe, but I want to see proof. Does that make sense?
Okay. Well, yeah, of course it makes sense. I mean, I think that's all of us.
Yeah.
Even people that say they're not interested in UFOs or brush it off as nonsense. Mm-hmm. I mean, if real hard evidence came to light, that would change everything, But, actually, I had a similar question to that.
Sure.
We can finish off this one if you'd like, or I was kind of... Well, I was going to say, okay, if the hypothetical here, if the government was to reveal one thing, like any kind of conspiracy, to be true or not true, in your opinion, what would be the best thing that they could announce? Would it be that UFOs are real? Would it be that angels are real?
Well, for the government to come out and say that UFOs are real, nobody would believe them anymore.
No, it's all hypothetical.
Oh, I see.
If they could say, yes, here is the proof, here are the facts, undeniable evidence, you just cannot argue. And it could be anything. It's not necessarily UFOs. Okay. True or not true. Like, no, we never landed on the moon, you know? Something like that, right?
Yeah. So what's the question?
What would it be? What would be the best announcement they could make, in your opinion?
Oh, the best announcement they could make in that situation would be to show actual physical evidence of a craft or the cadaver of an extraterrestrial or a live extraterrestrial who would say that, yes, Roswell happened in 1947. Yes, we have had a working relationship with the governments of the world. Yes, we have supplied technology to your civilizations and to your governments, and bang, 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 bang. These are the things that we have contributed. No, we have nothing to do with cattle mutilation, and no, we haven't been abducting citizens of Earth. That would make me a believer.
You don't believe in abductions?
No.
Really?
Really.
Oh.
Really. You know, where's the proof?
Okay. Oh, I don't know. I mean...
Yeah. You know, like...
But, I mean, where's the proof in angels? Where's the proof in UFOs? You know, like, you can... Like, how, you know... Like, I mean, I'm not questioning you, really, but, like, how can you say, I firmly believe... Well, I guess it's because you saw it.
Exactly.
You experienced it.
Exactly.
And you never... Have you ever seen a UFO, do you think?
I saw something in the sky when I was a kid that I don't know what it was. It made me very curious, but to say it was a UFO from another planet that, you know, it carried 5 little gray guys and I saw them waving at me, I can't say that. This is the whole thing about the paranormal. It's all hypothetical.
Yeah, exactly. That's what makes it so much fun, I think.
Exactly. It makes it so interesting. And I get guests on the show that get upset with me because I don't believe them. And I remember one guest saying, well, Rob, how can you be doing this show if you don't believe? I said, I want to believe, but I want proof. Well, I'm telling you.
Well, I mean, you don't have to buy everything you hear as long as you keep an open mind.
Of course. Of course. And I don't buy everything I hear. And I try to keep an open mind, but when I feel that a guest is taking me down the garden path, or he has ulterior or she has ulterior motives, to me this is, oh, you want to play that game? Let's start. Or when a guest goes out of their way to be obnoxious, belligerent, and demeaning to my listeners, that's when they get the shotgun and the toilet flush.
I did hear that before. I thought that was hilarious.
See, I'm very...
I mean, how bad does it have to be to get the flush?
Well, if I find out that you're lying, you get the flush. And it's not very hard to find out if somebody's lying these days. It's very simple. They get the flush. They get the shotgun. If they deliberately go out of their way to use one topic as a diversion to get to the topic they really want to talk about, to sell a book or sell a product or sell themselves, they get the flush. Or my biggest reason for flushing someone is if they're just not considerate of our listeners. To me, that's the ultimate. Because
I can't imagine someone wanting to come on a chat show to be rude. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I can, you know what? I can be rather hard on guests, and there's times where I provoke the answers. I want the right answer. I don't want the if and or buts. Like, I don't know how many times I've told, listeners that, they'd be better hockey players than they are a guest because they skate so well. They should be on the NHL. The questions I ask, they're skating around. Yeah. And you know what? They don't like that. They don't like being, and I'm not putting everybody in this category, but there are a number of guests that I've had on the show who do not want to, keep on the track and answer my questions. And when you won't answer a question, this is when I figure something is up. Mm-hmm. And I will dig, and I will dig, and I will dig until I get the answer. Now, I understand you have 2 questions from listeners for me.
I do, but we're awful close to break. Do you want to...
Why don't we take a break? And we've got something called the X Zone News with Amanda Curran coming up.
Because you haven't heard enough of me, right?
Hey, listen, I think you're great, and I appreciate everything you do.
Thank you. I appreciate being on board the X Zone Nation.
All right, buddy. Stand by, Amanda. Amanda Curran is our very special guest, and she is a cherished member of this family. And Amanda and I will be back on the other side, taking your questions right here on the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Whatever you do, don't go away.
Introducing Just Like Sugar. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural zero-calorie sweetener alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great pure sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be used in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar enhanced composition is a source of natural dietary fiber obtained from the chicory root. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend chicory maltodextrin, pure balanced extract, chicory root dietary fiber, and all the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is now available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide.
Why is Egypt in tumult? Mahmoud Ahmadinejad became president of Iran in August 2005. Few know that he was the ringleader in the 1978 U.S. Embassy siege. The Tehran siege released the virus of Shia fundamentalism. It lasted 444 days. But that number, 444, has been seen before because the pact between Hitler and Mussolini lasted precisely 444 weeks. So, could events on Earth be driven by some invisible power working with numbers? In the book, The Genesis Grid, it is proved incontrovertibly that a set of 6 simple numbers is found in 11 places across the Bible. An ancient prophecy of 2 colliding kingdoms, one in Europe and one in the Middle East, is unfolding now. Powers alien to this planet have written the future already. Find out more in The Genesis Grid.
This is news from the X Zone. I'm Amanda Curran. Astronomers have now begun to look to red dwarfs, rather than sun-like stars, in an effort to detect the first truly habitable exoplanets in our galaxy. Since red dwarfs are cooler than sun-like stars, habitable worlds would have to orbit much closer to get the required heat needed for liquid water. However, this would cause the exoplanet to become tidally locked, causing only one side to get constant light and the other constant dark, which had always ruled them out as possible candidates. Now scientists theorize that due to the rocky terrain of these exoplanets, the friction between the surface of the planet and the lower layers of the atmosphere can impact the atmospheric flow of the hot and cold air from opposite ends, providing an air conditioning system allowing for the possibility of life. Ufologists are now looking towards Earth in an effort to encounter alien beings. Experts now suggest that aliens may be here to monitor our planet's natural activity, as they are now linking an increase in volcanic activity to an increase in UFO sightings. Many claim cameras placed in the vicinity of volcanoes that monitor them 24/7 have recorded strange objects traveling along a specific and exact altitude, and eyewitness accounts from rescue workers have claimed to see slender humanoid creatures over 2 meters tall in the upper reaches of the volcano, wearing no personal protection equipment and with heels ending in sort of spikes that keeps them from slipping on the ice. Researcher Carlos Clement of the Tercer Milenio program has stated that this UFO wave was a milestone in UFO research, since with the advent of the modern age, video technology was in the hands of the citizens, and the sightings were not relegated to mere anecdotes. This group has managed to document most of Mexico's UFO activity. According to new research published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science Journal, new analysis of seismic data shows that the Sun and the Moon could be behind the mysterious low-frequency earthquakes occurring in and around the San Andreas fault line. Scientists examined records of over 80,000 earthquakes that occurred between 2008 and 2015 and found that there was a regular increase in seismic activity aligning with the 2-week tidal cycle referred to as the fortnightly tide. Since the fault is not directly parallel or adjacent to the ocean, this implies that the gravitational forces of the moon are acting on the fault. Millions of California residents who live within the vicinity have been awaiting a severe earthquake, and hopefully this new discovery will help scientists identify when it may occur. I'm Amanda Curran, News from the X Zone.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Amanda Curran is our guest this hour, and she's asking me the questions for a change. And this is kind of different, being on the other side of the question and answers. First of all, Amanda, thanks for joining us. Great talking to you and sharing with the X Zone Nation. All right, you've got a couple of questions, I understand, from listeners.
I do, yeah. I appreciate the invite, and I kind of panicked. I'm like, what do I do? What do I ask? What should I talk about? And I reached out to a few people, and I got some responses.
Okay.
A good friend of mine, Edward, he's a longtime listener. He's a big supporter of the show.
Hey, Edward. Welcome to the X Zone.
He's in California, actually. He came up with the best question, and I feel so dumb. It didn't even occur to me.
Okay.
Best question ever. Where were you 47 years ago today?
Where was I 47 years ago today?
Today is July 20th. Oh, well, depending on where you are, I guess technically it's the 21st here, but July 20th, 1969.
Where was I?
When man landed on the moon.
I was at home, sitting upstairs in our little family room, watching in awe those black and white pictures that were coming down from the moon. And I remember that night going out and looking at the moon and just being in total awe of the great accomplishment that had been done.
See, that's kind of the feedback I've been getting. I posted the question around a few places on Facebook. Mm-hmm. You can find us on Facebook, Rob McConnell's X Zone. Plug. And Edward said he was 15, his younger sister who was 13, and their parents were sitting around an old black and white TV, just in tears, again, just in awe, in absolute amazement. Other people, a small black and white TV, the tears, the emotion, So I guess, obviously, you believe it did happen then?
Yes, I do.
Yeah? Well, what do you think of people that don't?
Well, they're entitled to their opinion. Looking back at things, I can understand where they might get that concept from, especially since the Russians were on the moon first with a robotic unit that came back to Earth. The question is, why did man have to go to the moon? Why was there so much money spent? Was it part of a PR ploy? Because Russia had beaten the pants off the United States in the space race up until then. There's three sides to every coin. Plus, there's there's the controversy about the Van Allen belt that surrounds the Earth. How did how did the Apollo astronauts in their very flimsy space capsule go through the Van Allen belt when the space shuttle astronauts have to maintain an altitude low enough from the Van Allen belt so that they don't suffer from radiation sickness?
Maybe we could get a guest to discuss some of that one day.
Speaking about the guests, I've had Edgar Mitchell on the show.
Did you?
I've even had Neil Armstrong on the show.
Really?
And then
I will have to check the archives for that.
Yeah, and then I also had Arden Albee, the director of NASA, on the show. And I asked him this question. I said, if any NASA astronaut was to find or see proof of extraterrestrial existence, what would NASA do? He said, we would be the first ones yelling at the top of our lungs that there is extraterrestrial life because it would guarantee funding. And that is...
Well, that is a good point.
Yeah.
Do you think it's true? Do you believe him?
I really do. I really do. I have a problem with astronauts who have taken an oath. That was a bit of a... That was a bit of a build-up. I have a problem with astronauts who pledge allegiance, take an oath, and then years after, because they're no longer in the limelight, come out with these statements about UFOs. I also have a problem with a former federal minister and deputy prime minister of Canada, I'm talking about Paul Hellyer, who, during his tenure as Minister of the Defense for Canada, never had a UFO report go across his desk. And then all of a sudden he's out of politics years later. He's got a book and he comes out with this UFO phenomenon based on a book that he read. I have a problem with that.
Yeah, he was at that Alien Cosmic Expo that happened a few weeks ago
in Brantford,
in your area. Yeah.
Well, I had I've interviewed him a couple of times, and in fact, we were at the Alien Cosmic Expo last year, where part of our company does television as well, and it was our television side that was responsible for the live TV feed and the recording of the event. In fact, you want to talk about a cheesy plug? CDs are now available online at Amazon.com of each of the different speakers and their presentation.
Wow.
But once again, when you listen to Hellyer, he's a very smart man. Don't take me wrong. He is a very, very smart man. When it comes to the cabal, when it comes to the money system, you can't beat this man. He's very, very smart. But basing your expertise on UFOs on a book that you read, I'm sorry.
That's an excellent point. Yeah.
In fact, earlier this year, I received a telephone call from someone claiming to be from the Secretary of Defense, and they said, it was about Paul Hellyer, and they asked me if they could release an email that I sent to all the members of Parliament, as well as all the senators in the House, in the Senate, asking if, based on the statements that Paul Hellyer made on this show, if they can concur or if they can deny his statements, if they can agree or disagree about the existence of UFOs. Of course, I didn't get a response from any minister or any member of Parliament or any senator, but
no surprise.
But the fact that the Secretary of Defense contacted me, and they wanted to know if they could release the emails that I had sent out to one of the members of Parliament, because they had received a Freedom of Information Act request. And I said, well, listen, before I give you anything, I want your telephone number, and so on. And if, I'll contact you back. Well, it didn't take me very long to find out that this person was who they said they were. And I did call them back, and they did send me a request under the Freedom of Information Act, not only for the audio tapes of our interviews, not only of the video that we did on Paul Hellyer at the Alien Cosmic Expo, but any and all information that we had within a specific time frame.
Wow.
So when the Government of Canada, the Secretary of Defense, I didn't even know there was such a thing as a Secretary of Defense. I always thought it was the Defense Department and the Minister of Defense. When they ask, we sent it to them within 12 hours.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah. But, speaking
That's huge. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was less than a year ago, I guess, if it was after last year's conference.
Yep.
And how are things progressing so
I
far?
don't know. I haven't heard a word since we sent the information. I haven't heard a word. I don't even know which branch of the government requested the information under the Freedom of Information Act.
Can you find that out?
No.
Or, well, I mean, would someone have access to that? Or
Nope.
I guess you'd have to be pretty high up, eh?
Yeah. But anyway, there was another time when we were contacted by the government. And this is very interesting. Wayne Morin Jr., who had been a guest on the show a number of times, contacted us the very first time from the Napa State Hospital, which is a hospital that deals with mentally ill people. He was not a worker there, but he was a patient. And he told us about horrific crimes that were being there. Murders, the rape, possession, drug trafficking, booze trafficking, assault, and other crimes against humanity. I asked him why he contacted us. And his answer was, because I know you'll help.
Nice.
So what we did was we aired the show. We didn't edit it. It was live. And the following, it was within a week, we received a call from the Attorney General's office in Canada saying that they had a request from the U.S. Justice Department to contact us to see if they could get copies of the tape. We complied full-heartedly. And what happened was, ultimately, there was a big investigation into wrongdoing and crimes against humanity at the Napa State Hospital, based on Wayne Morin's courage. And he also had other patients coming on and talking to us as well. So when
it must have been heartbreaking to hear as a host, though.
It was. But to know that we can make a difference due to the power of radio and the power and the camaraderie that you, the members of the X Zone Nation, give to us in this show, we can make things happen in a positive way. And I believe as a broadcaster, as a journalist, and as a human being, this is what I have to do.
I think you're an absolute natural for it.
Oh, thank you, sweetie.
Well, I mean, you were in law enforcement before this, and that's going to bring us to our next question after the break. And
we've got time now. We've got time now, yeah.
Oh, well, I know you're going to really like this question.
We don't break it until 51 here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I got 6 minutes.
Learning something new every day.
That's what life is, a learning lesson.
Okay, I have to switch over to Facebook to see this question. Okay, this is from a mutual friend of ours. Oh.
Go on.
Well, no, I had to look over at my cat for a second to make sure I was hearing it from my headphone and not the bottom of my bed.
Oh, I love it. Okay, sorry.
Okay, this is from a mutual friend of ours. And I'll ask the question, you try to guess who it is.
Alrighty.
As an ex-cop,
Yes.
and after 25 years of hosting the X Zone,
Yes.
what is your take on the existence of extraterrestrials? And we kind of talked about that. We kind of talked about UFOs, but
Right.
actual,
like,
not like bacteria.
Like,
as
you mean
in
like
living organisms? I mean like
E.T.?
Yeah. E.T.
Okay.
Little green, tall gray. I don't know.
Look, you know what? That's a perfect question for this hour, because, as you know, in the hour before we had a Jose Escamilla on, we were talking about the Roswell rods, which are a life form that we cannot identify. I'm of the belief that if there are extraterrestrials, now I've seen the video footage and the pictures that Jose has taken. I've known Jose for many years. I have no doubt that what he has filmed, as well as what other videographers have filmed of the Roswell rods, no doubt they're not from here. Or if they are from here, they've been coexisting with us without us knowing about it. So does that make them extraterrestrial? I don't know. But if we're talking about the Greys, if we're talking about the reptilians, if we're talking about the praying mantis type, if we're talking about little green men from Alpha Centauri, I don't know. I haven't seen one. Is it possible? Anything is possible. Is it likely? It depends on who you ask. Charles Hall says that he knows for a fact when he was working at Area 52, not Area 51, but Area 52, he saw these interplanetary craft coming to Area 52 for refueling as well as refurbishing. When you talk to Charles Stansberg, who is a MUFON director, he talks about actually taking part within a Battlestar ship that houses a cast and crew of over 500,000 souls on board, and this ship is supposed to be so big that it's parked on the other side of Pluto so that the Earth telescopes can't pick it up. When you talk to other guests that I've had on the show, they believe that they have seen extraterrestrials. Do I believe them? Well, no. Do I think that extraterrestrials have visited or are visiting? Let me just throw the question out there, the hypothesis out there. What happens if the angels of yesteryear were the ETs of today?
I think a lot of people believe that. That sounds like, I don't know. That sounds like a kind of theory I've heard numerous times. Yeah. Like going back to like hieroglyphics and stuff.
Right. You see, to me, this is very plausible, very, very plausible, and it also raises the question that are paleontologists and archaeologists telling us the truth, or are they suppressing some information? Because the way I look at things, it's not the government that is perpetrating a cover-up or a conspiracy. It's not the Vatican or any other religious philosophy that is perpetrating a cover-up or conspiracy when it comes to the UFO phenomena. I believe it's the UFO community itself that is perpetrating the cover-up and the conspiracy. Because as long as there's a cover-up and conspiracy in play, you don't need evidence to continue the belief and continue to say that the government is out there, the proof is there, they are hiding it. So I hope that answers the question for our mutual friend, whoever they are.
Do you want to take a guess?
No, you've got me baffled on this one.
It was Gwilda Wiyaka.
Ah!
and I was
devil.
so happy, and you said, "Oh, that's a perfect question." And I said, "Yeah, she is full of them. I've heard her interviewed by you a few times, and I heard her The Science of Magic.
Did you know that Gwilda has her own radio channel?
Well, I was just about to say The Science of Magic. Yeah, let's plug it.
Yeah, The Science of Magic, TSOM Radio. What the heck is it? TSOM Radio. .net. I think I'll have to check when we go to commercial break, which is right about now, my dear. Please stand by. Exonation, the one and only Amanda Curran is my special guest, and Amanda and I will be back on the other side of this break as we wrap up this hour here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Once again, X-Zone Nation, you can listen to us on, at our website. We have archives that are available, and you can listen to our archives free of charge, because we want to get the message out there. Money is nice, but money does not perpetrate knowledge of this kind. You won't be able to learn what you learn here listening to the X-Zone. And what we try to do is get you the very best guests to bring the third side of the party. 3 sides to the party, yep. His side, her side, and the truth. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Thomas Jefferson was a Burgess of 27 when he met Martha Wales Skelton, a 22-year-old widowed heiress who was fondly called Patty by her family. They were married on January the 1st, 1772, and they took up residence in a cabin on the building site on top of a Virginia mountain that Thomas had named Monticello. As Thomas and Patty slowly built their first version of the great house at Monticello, the Revolutionary War was heating up. Patty, with difficulty, bore 5 children, but only 2 girls survived. Thomas's political career developed to the point where he was often away from home, but after he authored and signed the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia, he resolved never again to leave his wife. He was elected the governor of Virginia, just as that state became the Revolution's last battleground. The Revolutionary War ended in 1781, and Thomas gladly retired altogether to my family, my farm, and my books. But Patty continued to want to bear her treasured husband a son, and late in the summer of 1782, she died of kidney failure at the age of 33, 4 months after having borne yet another girl. Thomas was so devastated by her death that he never remarried. He mourned her for the rest of his life, even as he helped to frame the peace in France and then became the first Secretary of State, the second Vice President, and the third President of the United States. This story is true. Thomas Jefferson was such an obsessive letter writer and record keeper that we know where he was and what he was doing nearly every day of his adult life. Every significant thing he says in My Thomas comes from his contemporary writings. My Thomas by Roberta Grimes is now available at Barnes & Noble, Costco, Target, Books A Million, Hudson Booksellers, Kmart, Walmart, Sam's Club, Walgreens, CVS, and online at Amazon.com. You can visit Roberta Grimes online at www.robertagrimes.com.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I'm Rob McConnell. My guest is my producer in Sydney, Nova Scotia, the one and only Amanda. Amanda also does the X-Zone news. And first of all, Amanda, great working with you. Thank you so much for all your hard work. Thank you for setting up the group page. Thank you for the X-Zone News. And thanks just for being a great person.
My headset's not going to fit after all this swelling.
No swelling needed there, honey. It's the truth.
I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to help you out. I mean, this is awesome. Yeah. I don't know.
All right.
I'm blushing. I'm kind of at a loss for words here. But luckily, I have a question from jolly old England.
Okay, that was my little...
There's the build-up to the next question.
All right.
Next segment. Now, I know very little about this. I'm sure you're going to be a wealth of information here. This is from Heidi.
Hi, Heidi.
Out in England.
Mm-hmm.
What is your opinion on the hype about disclosure via the political push and the Rockefeller Initiative?
All right, let's take a look at it. I'm not avoiding the question. I'm going to give you a hypothetical situation. First of all, the MJ12 papers we know were a hoax. That's been debunked. Put that aside. Put it to rest. People say that the aliens have been working with the government and that there's proof of reversed engineering. So far, over 25 years, nobody's had been able to substantiate that claim by giving us or showing us any proof. People say, well, the computer. My Lord, if that's the best they can do, we're in trouble. And if there is reverse engineering, how come we are still using the old rocket propulsion systems that we're using today? Why wouldn't they give us the technology to traverse space a lot faster, a lot safer, and using a new propulsion system? After all, if they can go from one universe to the other, they should be able to help us out with the little push of well, here's technology to help you do that. I've even had people tell me that Tang was actually an extraterrestrial invention to help the astronauts get to the moon. When it comes to the Disclosure Project, I think that there's a lot of hype about the disclosure. Follow the money. No matter what it is, follow the money. There are people making money on the Disclosure Project, like Steve Bassett. He goes to all these different venues, all these different meetings, and all these different lectures. He gets paid. If the government has proof of an extraterrestrial, whether it be crashed parts of the Roswell, New Mexico UFO crash, which nobody can find, by the way, or if they have the body of an alien, alive or dead, anywhere, if there is a mention anywhere of an extraterrestrial or UFO that clearly, definitively proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that ETs are here and UFOs are real, and this information is on a database somewhere, how come hackers haven't found it yet? Where's the proof? Remember the old Wendy's commercial, where's the meat? In this case, one simple question, where's the proof? Now, everybody says, well, the government has got the proof. They're suppressing it. What happens if there is no proof, they're not suppressing anything, and they're telling you the truth?
That's an excellent point.
Yeah.
But, well, that's the fun of conspiracies. No one would believe them anyway.
That's
and
right.
And we'd still be having these same conversations forever and ever. I mean,
exactly.
How do you prove you don't have proof? I mean, how do you prove something isn't there? You know, you can't just show them, look, there's nothing there. Like,
exactly. You see, this is what I was saying before, Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe the government is involved in a conspiracy or a cover-up. I don't believe that any religious philosophy is involved. I believe it's the UFO community itself who has created and is maintaining the conspiracy theory, Because as long as the conspiracy is in place, they do not have to provide any proof whatsoever to further substantiate their argument that UFOs and extraterrestrials are real. And that ends it, my dear.
I know, and we actually did have more questions coming in, but maybe we'll do open lines again another day, or well, once you set up lines, your listeners can start calling in themselves and asking you whatever you want. I mean, he doesn't bite everyone, so feel free. He's Canadian, he's friendly.
Amanda, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great pleasure. Thanks for all the work you do, and keep it up, my dear friend.
Thanks for all the work you do.
All right,
I mean, 25 years and like that other story, helping the person in the institution. I mean, great work can be done through your service. So
that's right, and don't forget,
that.
Everyone, just remember one simple little thing. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And always remember to keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. From everyone here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada on the XZBN network, and as well as our producer and master control, Craig West, my wife, Laura Rogers, the senior producer, and Amanda Curran, our line producer. To each and every one of you, good evening.